Now, about a week ago or so, I did a video on the best weapons, weapon talents, and exotics to use right now in the Division 2 for Year 6 Season 2, Shades of Red. And, well, I did go over some of the builds and why they were, changed and rebalanced for these certain weapons. But I did say time and time again that I would make a separate video just highlighting the best gear items, sets, and exotics to use in the game because that deserved its own video because of all of the rebalancing. What should you hyper focus on this season? Whether it be Heartbreaker, Negotiator's Dilemma, maybe like a weapon swap build. There are so many different things. You could go back to the Intimidate Adrenaline Rush. The Pestilence is ridiculously strong now. You also have Ongoing Directive. The Catharsis got a big buff, and so much more. So in today's video, this is going to be part two of the series, and this is going to be the best gear items, sets, and exotics to use right now in the Division 2. I hope you enjoy. What's going on, YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with another Division 2 video, so sit back, relax, grab that popcorn, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. But the way I'm going to start this one out is I'm going to show you all of my builds. I do have 16 builds in my loadouts. I will show you each of those builds and just explain why I'm using it for this season. Then we will go through more items that I have in my inventory that I don't have a build for either right now or I have just made a build video on it prior. And then we'll talk about why I have those in my inventory and why you should hyper focus on all of these items right now in the Division 2. So I hope you enjoy. So starting off with the builds, we'll just go through them really quick. This is not build breakdowns or anything like that. I'm just going to explain why I have these build combinations and why they matter right now in the game. So the first one, this is loadout number 1, A1. This is my forever build for PvP in Conflict. I use this build on every single platform, and on every single platform I have around, I don't know, a 2.0 KD, something like that. And I use this build for all PvP on Conflict for every platform. Whenever I'm just messing around, this is the build I'm using. I call this Old Faithful. If you've been following me for a long time, I've been saying that for years. The only difference is instead of the Eagle Bearer, I switched it to the St. Elmo's engine, and I love it. But you can use this with whatever weapon you want, but this is the hardest hitting combo for Conflict. You have the Walker Harris with Vigilance. You have Perfect Glass Cannon, so the Glass Cannon Vigilance meta from way back in Year 2. You have the Coyote's Mask giving you crit with damage to armor, damage targets out of cover, and more base damage. It's a really, really strong build. I like it a lot. Right now it's sitting at 49 and 168, but that's because I use it that way, assuming that I'm already going to get one of the Coyotes procs for crit chance, and then that would put me right near max crit chance. But this is Old Faithful for PvP. I love it. Highly recommend trying it out. Next up, we have loadout number 2. This is another one of my builds that I've been using for years, and it's still amazing right now. It still is. Nothing on it has been nerfed. Everything has stayed the same. The capacitor is better now than ever. All of it is super good. I use this for all PvE content, including legendaries. It's amazing. It's a 4-piece Eclipse Protocol build with the chest piece that increases the transfer range. And then I also use that with Electric, giving me more status effects, and then Creeping Death to transfer that status effects even further. And then on top of that, I do have the Vial Mask, so with all the status effects on the build, it increases my damage over time debuff. Again, I've used this for all content, including legendaries. I love this. I've even used this in PvP. I've used it for everything. I used to use it for the League events, but sadly, there are no more League events in the game. So now this is just my mucking around build, if you will. I use that with a fire sticky and a jammer, just so you know, because the jammer does proc the Vile Mask. All right, so build number tree. This is the healer build for the incursion. It still works amazingly. The only difference is, yes, Perfect Sledge is now 20% damage to armor. So that did get a little nerf. And yes, the Scorpio did also get a nerf. So this build overall did get a nerf. However, as long as you have one person running the Mosquito Song exotic pistol, you should be able to counter the nerf and you're good to go. But as far as the build itself, 4-piece future initiative with the chess piece, you want the chess piece because it gives that extra damage bonus to your teammates while you're healing them. And you have this with perfectly opportunistic to go with the shotgun. And with that, you have the lefty giving you perfectly sledge, and the Scorpio giving you and your teammates that Scorpio buff. Use that with the BTSU gloves for the overcharge. You overcharge by using the Restorer Hive, and then you have the Reinforcer Kim. Pretty nice. Standard for the incursion healer build. Next up, we have this is the incursion striker build. Now, I do still use this with the Ouroboros. I have been using it with the Backfire. However, you can see that the Backfire is only expertise 23, where the Ouroboros is 27. So I'm kind of waiting until I have the Backfire fully maxed out, and then I'll commit to just changing over to the Backfire. But this is your standard striker build with contractors and coyotes. You want the contractors to get through all of that armor, take out all of those NPCs and those bosses as quickly as possible, and then you want that coyotes to proc with your other teammates, giving everyone more crit. Switch around your skills and all that, but that's why I'm using this. Now, yes, Striker did get a nerf. Striker used to be 1% weapons damage per stack. Now it's 0.9%. So, yes, this did get a nerf, and yes, the Ouroboros did get a nerf, but this is still an amazing build, and overall, it is still top tier for damage. Next up, we have my status effects build. This build also got a nerf, sadly, but it still rocks it. It's still amazing for PvE and PvP. This is a 3-piece Empress build. Yes, Empress did get a nerf. It is now 8% skill efficiency instead of 10, but this is still an amazing build to use. With the Electric Backpack, Creeping Death, Vile Mask, you have status effects everywhere. With the Golan status effects, you're good to go. Match that up with the Capacitor for that extra damage, and then Fire Sticky and Stinger Hive. Next up, really good for this patch. This is still an amazing support build. I use this for legendary content. This is a Vanguard Galvanized build. So the Perfect Vanguard gives 50% of your armor as bonus armor, and the Lavoisier, Perfect Galvanize also gives 50% of your armor as bonus armor. So you're giving everyone on your team 1.6 million armor as bonus armor. Not only that, but you have damage yourself, not only with crit, but you have Fox's Prayer and the Coyote's Mask to go with your shotties. And also remember, yes, Perfect Sledge did get a nerf to 20%, and the Scorpio also did get a nerf, not only to the talent, but to the reload speed. Still a great build, though, for legendary content, for sure. Next up, we have a brand new top-tier meta of all metas. We have the Pestilence. I mean, this thing is freaking dirty right now. So the Pestilence got a buff to the RPM and the damage. However, match that up with the Hollow Man, because the Hollow Man got a buff to 14% health damage. So that's top tier right now. And then all of the other multiplicatives, you have damage to armor from the Walker Harris, you have the Contractors, you have the Perfect Glass Cannon, and you also have the damage targets at a cover from the Fox's Prayer. This build will shred heroic content and PvP. This thing is ridiculously strong. I'll have a build video on this pretty soon for you. Next up, we have, this is my solo Dark Zone build. I showed this one about a week or so ago. It's the 3-piece yawl for the pulse resistance. Perfectly efficient for all of those extra armor kits. Catharsis got a big buff. And then, of course, the Emperor's Guard. We have Adrenaline Rush for the bonus armor. And then St. Elmo's is like my go-to this season for the ARs. So you'll see that a lot in my builds, the St. Elmo's engine. St. Elmo's. And speaking of which, here's another go-to right now for me. I'm using this one pretty much for all of my scouts. Just running through PvE content. Striker is still top tier, I keep telling you, because it's true. Even though, yes, the Striker backpack did get a nerf from 1% to 0.9, this thing still hits like a freaking Mack truck. I went ahead and put the Hollow Man on here as well for the health damage to go with my AR. And then we do have Obliterate. Now, Obliterate also got a nerf to 20 stacks, but it still hits really, really hard. Have the St. Elmo's with the rock and roll, and you're good to go. Another build right now that I'm rocking is Hardwired. So Hardwired is a great gear set to run right now because Hardwired got a buff. So the Hardwired backpack, it comes with the talent called Short Circuit. So what this does is it's a cooldown for the talent. That way you can keep getting your skills back. So it used to be 10 seconds. Now it's 5 seconds for this cooldown. So you can get your skills back every 5 seconds. I mean, as long as you're throwing out Seeker Mines, it takes 5 seconds for them to hit the target. So you're getting them back instantly every single time. And that's what I pretty much use for a lot of my builds. I mean, right here, these are unlimited Seekers. I put down the turret, throw out the Seekers, shoot the turret once or twice, pick it up, put down the turret, throw the Seekers, and keep bouncing back and forth. I have that with the China Light and Glass Cannon. That way you get the extra explosives damage. The waveform also increases your skill damage. And then, of course, you have the 4-piece Hardwired with that backpack because that backpack is what got that buff. Match that up with the capacitor and you're good to go. Next build that I'm rocking right now and I highly recommend is the Backfire. So Backfire builds are huge right now because the Backfire talent got a rework. Basically, you can get the stacks twice as fast while maintaining the 200% crit hit damage and you're getting less bleed. There are also multiple ways to counter the bleed, so you're good to go there as well. So here's one of the builds. This is the 500% crit hit damage build that I put together. I believe when it's all said and done, it's at like 502 if you do all the numbers. And yeah, this thing is a monster. I like this build a lot. Just sitting here, it's at 60 crit chance, 182, but then remember you get 200% from the weapon, and then you get 120% from Umbra. Next up, I believe, is another Backfire build. Yep. So this one I am about to do a video on as well. So this is a max crit, no bleed build. So this is the highest crit hit damage with no bleed. When everything is said and done, you will have 382% crit hit damage with this build. And again, it's no bleed with Obliterate. So while you're getting all those hits, you also hit harder with Obliterate. It's pretty nice. It's a lot of fun. Highly recommend. Next up, oh yeah, I'm about to come out with a new region headshot build. So this is my System Corruption region headshot with Bellstone and Emperor's Guard. This thing hits stupid hard. Over 300% headshot damage. This thing is wicked. It truly is. And that's with 3.2 million armor. That thing's woof. Also, what's making a big comeback, not only the Dark Winter, because now it's 90% crit hit damage on that Perfect Killer talent, but Negotiator's Dilemma. Negotiator's Dilemma has made a huge comeback, partly because the backpack talent comes with the critical measures buff, and critical measures used to be 100%. They did buff that up to 112%. So a lot of people are dusting off their Negotiator's Dilemma and having fun with that new buff. especially with the buff that they put on the Dark Winter. So something like this with the Coyote's Mask giving you more crit, and then the Grupo with Glass Cannon. I mean, this thing before the 90% buff is already sitting at 221. So then the 90% buff would put it well over 300 and what, 11? It's crazy. Not bad. And let's see, we should be getting near the bottom for the builds. Okay. So these are some builds that I'm putting together. A lot of these are not fully done yet. That's why I have not made a video on them. But this one, the concept is weapon swap meta. You have your weapon swap talents, Perfect Versatile. You have your weapon swap talent, the Gunslinger. And then you have your weapon swap talent, the Counter. Now, what this would do, if done right, is it would give you insane amounts of magazine size for your Dark Winter, and it's insane amount of RPM and weapon damage for your Pestilence. This thing would be nasty, and I'll show you in a future video. And then finally, another weapon swap, but this one is more, it'll be more tuned towards like PvE and stuff like that, where you're getting your perfect Intimidate procced, but you're also able to swap your weapons and get that proc with perfect Adrenaline Rush. I mean, this thing's going to be a monster when I'm done with it as well. But the main reason is because of that new exotic holster, because that new exotic holster comes with the talent called Counter, where swapping your weapons, you can do this up to 2 times. When you swap your weapon the first time, it will give your secondary weapon more rate of fire and weapon damage. But then when you go back to your primary weapon, you get more magazine size and reload speed. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right. Let's go into more honorable mentions. So talking about honorable mentions and things that I did not cover in those 16 builds, it would probably just be around the backpacks and chest pieces. So let's see. The chest pieces, yes, ongoing directive. I did not talk about that. However, the Parabellum rounds, the hollow points, it did get a buff to now it's 50% amp damage for those hollow points. Anything else on the chest pieces? I mean, there's really not much I didn't already cover. The Memento is still as strong as ever, but I would wager that the Ninja Bike is stronger than ever for those builds. Remember that Heartbreaker did get a buff as well, the 1.1% weapon damage per stack instead of 1. And then the Umbra. Where's Umbra? Here we go. So the Umbra from the Shadows got a buff. The crit hit damage went from 1 to 1.2, and the RPMs went from 0.3 to 0.4. So you get an increase in both of those right now in the game. But that is it for what exotics, what gear sets, what builds, what things to look for right now in the Division 2. I pretty much covered all of the big metas, excluding the snipers. I mean, that's really it. And as far as snipers go, it's Perfect Headhunter and Determined, and everything else is up to interpretation. Pretty much. I mean, that's it. But all right, if I skipped over any gear items, sets, or exotics that you are currently using right now in the game that you highly recommend other people to use, let me know right now. Oh, there is one more honorable mention. Let me see if it's in my stash. I just made a build on it, so I threw it back on my other character, but let's see. Yeah, it's on my other character, but I highly recommend right now the Ridgeway's Pride chest piece, and then using a weapon just like this with Sadist. Sadist is huge, and you can see there are several weapons in my stash with Sadist, because Sadist right now is a huge player in the game. So not only that, but I believe I have the backpack that I skipped over. Yep, right here, the Anarchist Cookbook. Use that with the Ridgeway's Pride chest piece and Sadist, and you get that increase in weapon damage, that amplification from Sadist, and the bleed from the Ridgeway's Pride. So that's another great thing to use right now in the game. But all right, everyone, that is it for me. I am Kamikazevondoom. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you found this helpful or informative in any way, shape, or form, please hit that thumbs up. Support the channel by subscribing and let me know what you think in the comment section below. But that's it. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.